Boy, I think that's like the there was it's like the equivalent to
One time at band camp.
Yeah, one time at Boy Scout camp. No, they
There's arguably way worse of
another
a
bad
stigma on scout leaders than band leaders.
Yes,
Oh, for sure.
100%.
Oh, for sure.
Yep.
See, the thing I always heard was like the bands in like college and stuff. They were always like they always had crazy like fuck parties and stuff because they were all just nerdy and
Horny.
into each other. Yeah, horny because they all played woodwinds.
Hey!
You're right.
Double reeded.
I saw the way you licked that reed for that clarinet.
Hey, Clarice. The way your braces wrapped around the clarinet.
I could tell that you really moistened your reed before. All your notes were so wet.
You even checked the temperature. That part really got me hot.
What's that, Madison? You put Vaseline on your reed? Oh, fuck.
Oh boy.
Oh, Mary. Oh, my God.
I think you need to clear your spit valve on your trumpet.
Oh my! That's disgusting. That's an actual part on a fucking trumpet.
Yeah, and
Is
when,
the
That
spit
statement
valve.
you said is very much a part of trumpet maintenance, right?
and so I always remember it being gross in.
Oh, I'm thinking about it. Oh my god!
I always remember it being gross in band, but like in elementary and middle school. But when you actually see like when you I think it was when we went and saw like Streetlight Manifesto for the first time, and you're watching them, and those
Yeah.
guys are like blowing real hard for a long period of time.
Oh, yeah,
and
for
when they
sure.
actually release like or let out the spit valve,
Release the spit valve.
it's like a waterfall. It's like
The fucking Hoover Dam.
it's actually disgusting.
Yeah.
yeah.
They have to have like a trough, I think, there just to catch it.
Dude. All right.
Well, no, I think honestly, what grosses me out more is a middle schooler doing the spit valve.
Oh, 100%.
because, like, they have to be way. I mean, you would imagine that if you're a professional trumpet player or a professional, musician, you probably know how to efficiently like work the instrument, right? Whereas you're a middle schooler, you're just fucking blowing into the instrument. You're probably blowing spit everywhere. Like I feel like the effect could be way worse on the middle schooler side.
Yeah, and like plus at least with the like an adult doing it, it's like all right, like they're at least like an artist. Like this is them, like this is their job and stuff. It's like no, you're just like if you're a kid just doing it, you're just gross.
Oh, that's a money-making spit valve, so it's all right. No, I guess,
dude.
I think kids.
Yeah,
are,
like their solos aren't that good. I played clarinet. I didn't have a spit valve, but my solos sucked ass.
no, but
I couldn't even read the sheet music.
You still-
I just like puffed up my cheeks and just pressed random buttons. I didn't do it. I never played.
There's no way.
I'm with you on the whole kid thing being grosser, but only because like kids are less diligent with cleaning shit. So
they
like,
can't own it as well. They're super insecure at that point of their lives. Like a professional is gonna be like, yeah, fuck it. And then a kid's gonna be like, oh god, like this on top of my braces, on top of like my growth spurt. I don't know what to do.
Do you think that the
Don't look at me.
Yeah.
I'm disgusting. Do you think that
Stop looking at my spit valve.
Do you think that the spit valve gets backed up and can go into like back into the person's mouth?
It's there for a reason, so I'd imagine that if it wasn't,
if
probably.
you breathe in, you just.
Oh, Barf City, USA. Barf City, USA, bro. Population May.
Spit is unanimously gross.
And throw that into band
mine,
camp.
yours, anybody else's.
Dude, throw that into band camp.
I get disgusted by my own spit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like if it lands on me, I'm like, oh god, who did that? And I'm like, me. Oh god.
Yeah, and throw that into band camp with horniness and weird camp instructors. That's a whole different monster. Yeah,
That's why they're so horny. They're just so okay with spit.
they're just so moisturized.
Oh.
Hey.
There's a lot of phallicness within instruments. So
Yeah. You know what camp was probably way worse though?
Woo.
The camp set up at the Dyatlov Pass, everybody. That was today's segue.
Woohoo! Segues are weird.
I hate them.
10 out of 10.
Yeah. So welcome to today's episode of The Rabbit Hole. My name is Tim, joined as always by John.
What up?
And Matt.
Yo.
And thank you so much for joining us again on today's Halloween special. It's a little spooky.
Ooh.
So today's episode is going to be a little not completely different. We're still going to be talking about a little conspiracy theory, but this one is actually going to have to do with a little bit of tragedy. A little bit of tragedy on today's podcast.
Do you know what I realized? Every day is Halloween's especially spooky, but every day's spooky when you have Dan Schneider out there.
You're so right.
Just to let everybody know. Just
Put it on the board.
Yep,
Put it on the board.
yep.
That's three.
That's three.
That's
I wanted to get
Yep,
my fill in
yep.
before we got too heavy into this.
No matter how natural or unnatural, Matt's gonna force his way in there, just like Dan Schneider forced his way in
if
on
there
those
is
little girls' lives.
I'd like to think that there's a couple things for which I have purpose in this world, and I think to constantly remind everybody of Dan Schneider. That's
a good mission.
That's one that I could fulfill. Yeah, very, very wholeheartedly.
Just like those girls that were like shaming Harvey Weinstein at the restaurant, just standing there screaming at him. How are you gonna let this man here? Matt's just gonna show up to Dan Schneider's restaurants. This man,
watch your feet,
animal.
Yeah.
Dude, luckily I have my costume picked out for tomorrow, and I'm dressing as Dan Schneider, and no children will be allowed at my door. Their parents won't let them.
Get a bunch of fake prop feet.
Yeah, that's a great way. It's like I think
Dan Schneider lives in that
He
house.
didn't tell me that he was moving in, so I don't know if he was supposed to.
So anyway, so today, our super spooky episode, we're going to be talking about an event that is shrouded in such uncertainty that there is more than one conspiracy as to how it actually went down. And on top of that, the Russian government launched an investigation 60 years after the initial incident to find out what really happened. And our story begins in You're already laughing.
60 years after the fact.
Yeah, it's like, shit. 9 people died? Oh, no. How am I just hearing about this?
Yeah.
We should look into this.
So the story begins in 1959 when Igor Dyatlov formed a group of 9 other people to go on a skiing expedition through the northern Ural Mountains. The group consisted of the following people. So Igor Dyatlov was 23. Yuri Doroshenko, he's 21. Also, I'm going to butcher these names because they're fucked Russian names. This next one I'm looking at it, and there's only 3 vowels.
You gotta love it.
Ludmila Dubinina,
Killed it.
Okay.
20 years old. Yuri Krivonishenko, 23.
Nice.
Alexander Kolevatov, 24. Zenaida Kalmogorova, 22. Rustem Slobodin, 23, male. Nikolai Thibiu Brignoles, he was 23. Semyon Zolotaryov, 38. And Yuri Yudin was 21. So these were like children going out there. They were not.
I mean, I don't know
old
about
enough.
children. They're like a year or two younger than me. But I mean, are they experienced?
Yeah,
Like,
they were very experienced climbers.
Okay, all right.
Before
That's
going out on this
interesting.
expedition, they were grade 2. Grade 2 level. They were grade 2 level climbers, and grade 3 being the next level. Excuse me.
Disgusting.
Disgusting. All of them were very experienced hikers, and all of them were highly experienced hikers. And when they were set to return from this expedition, they were going to be receiving the grade 3 certificate, which is the highest hiking honor of the Soviet Union, which is a weird thing to honor.
I guess in communism you have to have
something
like certificates for everything, right?
yeah.
Like, like why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Comrade Doroshenko, you are our best kazoo player. You will be at the front lines of the Red Army.
No, but these are people that didn't. These are people that didn't really try and hide the fact that they wanted to be the best at everything, whether it came to the Olympics or making it to the moon.
Yeah,
first.
you're 100% right.
So, especially
if they could find something to be good at and make sure that everybody knew that they were good at it, then it was worth it. Then it was totally worth
and
it.
depending on who was better than them at it, only drove them more. So that's where like you have that very interesting the fact that the black runner at the Berlin Olympics during the Nazi era. What was his name?
I think the fact that you called him the Black Runner, I think I might cut that out.
No, I mean it's accurate. But the whole thing was it was because he was black, infuriated not only the Nazis but like also later on down the line.
That was the plot point of Get Out.
Yeah, exactly. As we another episode where we're referencing
more symbolism coming out of Get Out.
Yep.
Like, 2 years later.
He admitted that a lot of conspiracy theories drive it, but yeah, they were just always very motivated to be better than everybody, Americans, minorities.
So when they were going to get back from this ill-fated journey, they were set to receive these grade 3 certificate. And the group began their journey on January 27th toward Otorten. Keep in mind, this is January in the middle of Russia. So this trip was already, they knew it was going to be difficult.
Great weather. Yeah.
So the journey was going to be extremely difficult from the get-go. And then, one day into the journey, on January 28th, Yuri Yudin turned back because he wasn't feeling well. So one person ditched immediately. He had rheumatism.
Smart guy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Wait,
that's
he
that
had
final destination.
He had rheumatism,
moment.
and he was like, I'm fucking in pain, so I'm going to dip.
So his joints hurt, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm out."
Yeah.
Well, no grade 3 for him.
So
Wait, he's
The
a
state-
hiker. He's a hiker,
Yeah, the
but
state is disappointed in
Yeah.
him.
yeah. He went to the gulag, so pick your
Yeah.
poison. But he was a hiker, yet had rheumatism.
Yep.
I mean, that makes sense, right? I mean, if you're like a climber and stuff.
But I guess.
But it's great. But he's super young, so you'd imagine it wouldn't have
yeah,
been.
he was only 21. And then
Weak
the remaining hikers continued on their journey, and after 10 days, on February 1st, the group got into a little bit of trouble because obviously January in
Eastern Russia or
Eastern
Western,
Russia isn't too good.
sorry, Western Russia. But yeah, no,
This is like fucking middle of Siberia.
Yeah, this is the Urals.
What year is this again?
59.
Gotcha.
Yeah, this is the same areas that thwarted the Nazis and Napoleon Bonaparte, like the same branch of like mountain ranges.
Yeah.
So here we have entire armies have tried to break through this area during this time of year, and now some
20-year-olds.
Yeah, 20-year-olds are like, "What you got? Like, come on, give it to us."
Yeah.
Exactly, pretty much.
So the group got a little bit lost because of the poor weather conditions. I assume they just got twisted up in the visibility, incredibly low visibility, and then they set up camp in what became to be known as Dyatlov's Pass because Igor Dyatlov, he found it while they were out, so they just set up there, and it was 6 miles outside of their turnaround point.
You know, you've probably gone too far when it's the 1950s and you're able to name something.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty wild because you're going places that people haven't been before.
Did he get there and was he like, "I don't think anybody's seen this before. This
Yeah.
is now Dyatlov's Pass," or did they kind of like pity name it for him after
I'm not
this
too
whole
sure.
thing went down?
I'm sure they named it
I mean,
after.
I think he deserves it either way, but
Well, so I think.
Well, keep in mind, the 9 hikers wouldn't make it through the night.
and maybe pity name isn't the best. Probably memorialize, right? That's probably better.
Well, so
Like,
keep in mind because A, they're experienced hikers, and B, as we'll find out, there was only a certain way in which we could get a certain amount of information about this. But they were all avid journalists, and they had diary entries. So it was probably Dyatlov, and obviously since he was leading them, who talked about it. And
Day 3, it's fucking cold.
that's so red.
Day 4, I found a new hole in rock. It is now the Dyatlov Pass.
This is my best now.
This is my past now.
So in addition to the journal entries, like John said, they also had a camera with them, and they took a lot of photos, which they kind of used as evidence, and they were able to trace their journey leading up to the night where they died, and they did die.
Yes.
Fun fact.
That we know.
And they did die. That one of the thing is. No, I know what you're thinking. That's hilarious. It's so funny.
No.
Very serious.
Very serious on this comedy podcast.
R.I.P. in peace.
Rip. Rip.
Yeah, as I like to say.
R.I.P. in.
As I like to say, big rip.
Big rip.
We did a fucko wucko and got whittle washed. Now we have to sweep in our forever boxes.
That's the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse way to say that somebody died.
Oh, fucko wucko. So they did a huge oopsie doozy and got lost and died. And I know what you're thinking. Why would we be talking about 9 hikers in Russia who probably died of hypothermia?
Why would we be thinking about or talking about 9 Russians that died of hypothermia?
There's definitely nothing weird about the
No, not at all.
circumstances or the scenario in which they died, right?
It's actually just a ploy for my new 12 Days of Christmas song. It's day 9 on the 9th day of Christmas. My true love gave to me 9 dead Russians.
9
dead Russians. 8 UFO sightings. And a partridge in a pine tree. And a dead guy in a pine tree.
Oh.
Hey. Well, not everyone believes.
Fucked up love.
Well, not everyone believes that the cause of death is hypothermia.
Well, how are they found? Like they're.
Oh, how are they? How are they found? I'm so glad that you asked that because that actually wasn't in my script. When the it was just
Got
natural.
him. Caught you tripped up. Check, please.
Check, please. So when the fuck. So when the hikers didn't return when they were expected to, a week later they sent out the search party. And when the search party first came across the site, the first thing they noticed was something very peculiar. That the tent they had set up for themselves was ripped from the inside.
The zipper broke, so they had to find other means.
How do you tell that something's ripped from the inside, though?
That's
I don't know.
A good question.
That's a great question.
Maybe
Trust.
It's like
you got the one fiber analyst at the at the Russian police department who's like, this is my big break.
He's the fiber analyst who moonlights as a serial killer in the news show Schmexter.
Wallace.
And inside the tent were all the shoes that were belonging to each of the members of the expedition. So they
Each
just
of the shoes?
Yeah,
the shoes.
They left all their shoes behind.
Their toes are gonna get cold.
Oh yeah, they are.
Wait, so
Okay, so they weren't found in their campsite.
No.
All right.
The first bodies that were to be found belonged to Yuri Durashenko and Yuri K, because I can't pronounce his last name, so it's Yuri D and Yuri K. And they were found dead about a mile away from the campsite. They were huddled around a small fire in a single pine tree, and the only thing they were wearing was their underwear.
Oh.
Yep.
Seems like they got a little hot in the tent, and then they decided to cool off, and then they got cold. So now
They built a fire.
So they need to get hot again.
Yeah.
It's like that scene in I can't remember if it was a deleted scene or if it's in the actual final cut of Talladega Nights where Ricky Bobby is
I think that's.
it's the one where he's sick.
That's Dewey Cox, isn't it?
No, it's the one where he's like, I'm too hot. I need I need less blankets. I'm too cold. I need more blankets. I'm continuously hot and cold, so take away blankets while simultaneously putting them on.
He needs more and less blankets. I'm pretty sure it's Dewey Cox.
Dewey Cox.
I can't.
Walk hard.
No, and I'm even wanted to say like hot rod.
No, it's definitely not hot rod.
Yeah.
But
they were both found in their underwear.
okay, so that's 2 out of the 9.
Mm-hmm. And not far away were the bodies of Rustim, Zeneda, and the leader of the expedition, Igor Dyatlov. The search party found that they died trying to make their way back to the camp, and the other bodies wouldn't be recovered until the snow melted in the spring.
Oh.
These were the bodies. These bodies were all found wearing clothes, and they had not been stripped. So, good for them. So there's a silver lining to everything.
They got part of the equation, right?
But the bodies that were found in the spring did have unusual injuries. The first one they found was belonged to Ludmilla. I don't know if that's how you say her name, but good old Ludmilla.
Good shot.
She was found with no eyes and no tongue.
What?
Holy shit.
Yep. So imagine just like waiting, is like finding this fucking dead body once the snow melts, turning her over.
This is genuinely terrifying.
Yep.
Like, put yourself even in the shoes of a search party member.
Mm-hmm.
Like that. Like that's gotta be
For sure.
horrifying. And then imagine yourself in the shoes of one of these hikers. Like that. This is a horror movie.
Oh, 100%.
It's the same thing.
But
like,
imagine having the fucking like balls to be like, all right, this dead person doesn't have any eyes. Let's open the mouth. Like, how do you come to that conclusion? It's like, all right, gotta open the mouth now.
Yeah,
I wonder if they thought it's like, oh, maybe if we give her mouth to mouth, she'll come back.
No, I don't think that something happened to them, and I don't think that if the eyes were removed, I don't think that the tongue or whatever is.
I mean, I think either way, whether they discovered it then or it was done at an autopsy later on,
right?
Because at that point, like everything's being done, like the guy'd be like, hey, I don't know if you want to write this down, but she didn't have any tongue, and they were all like, that's definitely strange. Snow doesn't eat tongue.
Was it cut out? Like, was it? Did they say if it was cut or?
Wolf, I don't know if it was cut, but there is more to that tongue. Oh no!
What do you mean?
We'll talk about it later.
Someone's gonna take that out of context.
I don't like
Clip
that.
it.
It was just found. It was found in a nearby creek.
Okay, regardless. Okay, so out of the people that were found in the spring after the snow melted,
another thing that they noticed was that, or not noticed, but I guess conducted an autopsy. They found that her she had major fractures in her chest.
Like ribs broken.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Semyon, one of the other hikers, was found with major fractures in his chest as well.
CPR?
What?
CPR?
No.
No.
What do you mean CPR?
Like you have major fractures in your chest.
No. He just had fractures in his chest, like he had been crushed.
If you were given CPR and had major fractures in your chest, then there'd be no reason for you to be getting CPR. Like major fractures are like multiple breaks, but then like bones puncturing lungs. Like,
yeah.
Like if you got hit by a car.
That happens when you give CPR to people.
No, but like his
no bones puncturing lungs.
His chest.
Oh, okay.
Was
all
like
right.
caked in.
Yeah. His chest.
Not just like a couple ribs here and there.
No, his chest was broken.
It's a little bit worse.
Yeah.
No.
And
it's not like somebody was trying to bring him back and oops.
And then drop my phone.
Oops.
And then the other body to be found belonged to Nikolai. His body was found with fatal brain damage, but there was no major external injuries. So it looked like he had been crushed.
Okay.
Wait, he was. What do you mean? It looked like he was crushed.
Didn't. I mean, it. From the symptoms, it looked as though he was crushed, because he had no major external damages, but his brain had sustained major fatal brain injury.
So his brain was just, but like. Yeah.
How could you be crushed and then have no external injuries?
That's why it's weird.
That's why it's weird.
Yeah. No, you're right. Oh, so it's like you're saying that it like the damage done to his brain is consistent as with somebody who was crushed, yet he didn't have any.
Yeah.
He didn't have any external injuries to his body.
Correct.
Okay.
And there were more things found that raised some suspicion, including that there was radiation detected on their clothing.
What?
The bodies were an unusual tan color, and the tongue and the eyes were found in a nearby stream.
Wait, multiple tongues or just the tongues and the eyes?
Wait, the tongue and the eyes were found in a nearby stream. So of the girl. So the two little eyes and the tongue.
Gotcha.
Now, here are a couple theories as to what happened. One theory is that three of the hikers, Semyon, Alexander, and Yuri K, to be specific, were KGB agents who were sent on a mission to discover a cell of CIA agents. The mission was to deliver radioactive materials and take photos of the agents. But alas, something went wrong and the CIA killed them.
What?
So that's one theory.
What? Wait, so you're saying that who were the CIA?
The CIA?
No, I mean
No, so the three Russians were KGB agents who were on a mission to find CIA.
Okay, so yeah.
So keep in mind this is like Cold
War.
The
9 Russians were KGB.
No,
only 3.
And the others were just kind of there to
cover.
Cover.
Okay, gotcha.
Unknowing cover.
And then the CIA were somewhere in the Russian mountains, and then
they gatted them down.
Wait,
yeah.
Before you get into all the crazy, wacky, probably not true theories, what was the ultimate findings of what happened to them? Like, what is
hypothermia?
Well, no,
and then just some honestly, like, I'm not too sure.
I can't say that I'm surprised that if that's the final findings of the Russian investigation. I'm not too surprised that they didn't come up with anything other than that.
I mean, it sounds like a lot of them, like from a lot of the different things, that an avalanche probably happened and they were all caught off guard. I mean,
did anybody get like a statement from the one guy who turned around?
it was but that was days earlier. So
after
when he
we
heard
talk,
about this, he must have been like, "Holy shit!" He's like,
thank you, joints.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
yeah. After we talk about the theories, I'll tell you what the Russian investigation found out.
Okay, fair
Gotcha,
enough.
okay.
Fair enough. All right, so that one's pretty hardly plausible.
I mean, that one I mean, the only reason that one's a thing is because
The radiation.
well, the radiation, and then also like I feel like anytime you bring up Russia, KGB, like stuff
Right.
like that, like it's just gonna be part of that that kind of like thriller side to a lot of these like conspiracy theories.
Another one is that they were killed on sight because they were mistaken as prisoners who had escaped from the gulags.
Now that sounds,
That's reasonable.
but I mean, if you're in an area, kind of like what John said earlier, if you're in an area where, or maybe you said it, but if you're in an area where you find something that wasn't discovered, like what are the chances of somebody else being up there?
Yeah, yeah, Russian soldiers being like, "Hey, who are those guys?" It's like,
Unless they stumbled upon something while they're up there, maybe that's like a.
There could
Well, keep in mind this is Siberia, so there's gulags everywhere. Like, this is like prime gulag country.
Yeah, I guess. But like Matt's saying, you're not discovering a pass. Be like, Dyatlov Pass, and then it's like, oh, wait a minute, well, those guys found it already. Okay, never mind.
Another popular theory is that the area that they were camped at, which is at the base of a mountain, I believe that's nicknamed like Death Mountain, which is not ominous at all, was a site of Soviets' testing of parachute mines. And the theory goes that the loud noises of the explosions woke the hikers up in the middle of the night, scaring them so bad that they ripped open the tent and left without their shoes. Some died of hypothermia trying to survive the explosions. Then the survivors took the dead people's clothing and ran. Now, I know what you're thinking.
Where'd the other people's clothing go?
I'm loving the idea though of like
They just took it for more warmth.
super panicked people like dogs when fireworks are going off, and they're just like, ah, and they just start cutting holes in their tent before they even go for their fucking shoes in January on the top of a fucking mountain.
Fuck the shoes. Let's rip open the tent.
Yeah, I mean, like, the only thing that's common between all of these explanations is that these people were in
dumb.
the absolute worst place at the worst time.
But if you told me this was like in 2019 and it was a bunch of fucking millennials, I'd be like, yeah, definitely. They'd get new shoes, or that would be their thinking. But like experienced climbers following this order of events, I can definitely understand why people started going down some conspiracy theory trails on this one.
Well, I mean, because it's strange because everybody seemingly experienced something different, right? Like I think if you didn't have the eyes and the tongue of the one, I think it was a girl, torn out, I think this becomes very quickly it was like, yeah, they like got spooked during the night and ended up in bad weather and died as a result of it. But the radiation and the tongue and eye thing that's
spooky.
That's like, it doesn't happen under normal circumstances.
I'll just debunk the tongue and eye thing. The radiation thing is definitely weird. But the tongue and eye thing, to debunk that, just from the get-go. So the woman missing her eyes and tongue, they had to wait until the spring for them to be found. Unless they literally like were standing around their day to day, like waiting for the ice to melt for them to go work on it. Mm-hmm. There's a good chance that they weren't necessarily going back for the body after part of it had been fully thawed. So there's a good chance that like scavengers and birds of prey like came through.
I know they found them.
But that's what's weird.
They waited until the snow melted. So what John's saying is that they probably are. They might not have been there exactly. So like any kind of wild animals could have did a little munchy poo on the eyes and.
But the fact that you said
they were found at a stream, yeah.
Unless
they were dragged.
Unless they were just maybe they were ditched by like they were disgusted and dropped it.
So to kind of wrap up the parachute mine theory, because there's a couple more. I know like people were thinking like, oh, if it's bombs, why weren't they more exploded? Yeah, like because people were saying like, oh, what about like burn marks? Well, the parachute mines, they exploded midair. And so the injuries that are caused by them, since they exploded midair, are in line with the injuries sustained by the people who died. So, like, the brain damage without the skull fracture, the chest being fucked up.
Interesting.
Another theory that kind of has to do with the another theory that has to deal with the occult is the theory that the hikers were killed by a mink, otherwise known as a Russian Yeti.
A mink.
The theory was proposed in the 2014 Discovery Channel documentary Russian Yeti, he's killer that lives.
So he named himself. He's super pissed about fur coats. He's like, I'm gonna wear that of my brethren. I am the mink.
I am the mink. But
totally capping my style.
The name of the documentary is called The Russian Yeti, The Killer Lives, which is like fucking stupid.
A 2014 documentary?
Yep. That aired on the Discovery Channel.
Unless there is bad footage of said mink, then this one doesn't hold any weight.
Well, yeah. They kind of say that there was no actual evidence. It's just kind of a bunch of little baloney. But the theory is that the only way these hikers could have sustained these injuries were from a being that was not human, the Russian Yeti, of course. And during the interview, during the show, they talked to two members of the search party who found the camp, and they said that they saw footprints that were much larger than a human's. The documentary also goes on to say that the footprints they found were not mentioned in the official Soviet report of the event. Could this be a cover-up? A cover-up of the Russian Yeti?
I feel like Russia consistently has like people that go over 7 foot, 7 foot high in terms of like height. So I feel like seeing unnatural sized feet at like crime scenes is probably normal.
Yeah, I also, two of them only saw feet, and like, tell me like what a foot actually looks like in like snow on top.
Dude, I think I have the perfect person to talk to. Dan Schneider, if you could come in here.
Yeah, expert foot.
I've looked at feet in all climates.
Now, Dan.
Those are some good feet.
Now, Dan, would you say that a size 16 foot is damn near impossible for a human to have?
I wouldn't say damn near impossible, because I sure would like to see it. Look at that Shaquille O'Neal.
What is the biggest foot you've seen?
When I
the Nickelodeon foot, yeah, because I made it.
Now, there's one more theory, one more kind of outlandish theory that we'll be talking about, and then we'll kind of get into the stuff that they say actually caused the deaths. So the last one,
the fake news propaganda.
The last one is that UFOs killed the hikers. Lead investigator on the case, Lev Ivanov, which is the most Russian. No, it's not the most Russian name. The most Russian name we saw so far was like Yuri Konevlenkov.
Yeah.
Said that the night of the deaths, multiple people reported strange orange spheres in the sky. This is what I'm about to read is from Ivanov's article called "The Enigma of the Fireballs." When E.P. Maslenikov and I examined the scene in May, we found that some young pine trees at the edge of the forest had burn marks, but those burn marks did not have concentric form or some other pattern. There was no epicenter. This once again confirmed that heated beams of a strong but completely unknown, at least to us, energy were directing their firepower toward specific objects, in this case people, acting selectively. It is worth noting that later on, Krylenko professed a huge interest in the UFOs and received memos about sightings of UFOs from the chairman of the KGB. So this guy was a huge into UFOs.
I feel like if it was aliens, they would have gone for the booty probe instead of just killing people.
I love the arbitrary rules that he came up with. He's like, there was no inside burn, only. So therefore, it can't be anything else other than extraterrestrial beams.
Right. So
yeah, it's the cop-out, right? So it's like, wow, holy shit, we have zero clue how this happened.
Aliens.
Yeah, people saw stuff in the sky, and it was a bunch of grays.
It's not even it's just he has zero clue how it happened. If he probably somebody probably could have explained it to him, and he either was like, yeah, no, you're wrong, it's aliens, or he just didn't ask anybody.
I was gonna say, because honestly, what sounds worse, just being like, hey, this shit makes no sense, I have no conclusion, or no, I think it was aliens. That's just a matter to say, like, as a way to say, oh, I don't know anything. Like, I think just saying that you don't know anything is way better.
Yeah, if it were today.
But when you're in Russia, you're not able to say you don't know, like, you don't know the reason, right? Like,
no, I mean, you can't.
Like, I feel like in that climate, you have to give some sort of answer, even if it's completely ridiculous.
But to the same extent, though, if there was any truth to the matter,
it was Wolverines.
The government would be covering him up immediately. So the fact that he was never covered up, and we have these.
Yeah, he would have been shot.
This kind of sounds like this is the Roswell, New Mexico of Russia.
No, this is more like
this is like the Donner Party if the Donner Party had some UFO elements.
Bingo. Yep. No, but
but
if the Donner Party had conspiracy theory to it, it happened. There was enough known about it because there were so many fucking people involved that they were able to get a more holistic picture, and there were survivors as well to pass it along. When there's no survivors, then it's just conspiracy theories galore.
Yeah, and there was a photo, they called it the famed number 33 photo, or photo number 33, from one of the cameras that they found on the site.
I'm looking that up right now.
Yep, search up photo number 3 for you listeners following along at
33.
home. 33. I think it was 33.
Tree.
I definitely want to I like when there's actually
34. It's either 33 or 34 because there was a number 15 which wasn't counted into the court of public opinion.
Frame 34?
Yep.
Oh, it doesn't look like it's just weird.
It's anything. It's just out of focus.
Yeah, that's weird.
Let me see.
I mean, it doesn't really look like anything. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
it's just blurry.
It doesn't look like anything.
Yeah.
I kind of like that. It's like a frame 34. That's very mysterious.
It's like room 237.
So wait,
Yeah,
what's
right.
so mysterious about this? Oh, they're trying to.
I think it's more or less that it was just
It's just a blurry photo they found, so
Yeah.
people were like, "Oh, it's aliens."
No, but see, that's the thing. You can see, like, as they go through it, they try and play with the contrast of it. They're like, you see here, you can see there's a figure here, but it doesn't match any of the sizes of the known people in the party.
It's like every episode of the Ghost Hunter shows where it's like they'll see like a little bit of dust fly across the camera, and they'll be like, "Do you see that? That was Veronica. Veronica was 14 years old when she was murdered.
And she hated dusting. And now she lives with specks of dust.
I hated that voice in Ghost Hunters. It was like that.
What's up? My name is Brett Bretson, and I'm a former bouncer."
No, I'm talking about it's like what you guys were just doing. The voice was like, "The house was haunted for 7 years."
Oh, yeah. That one where it was, there was one show in particular did that one.
If you went a little deeper on that one, though, it's my favorite man. My mother was queen of the undead.
My mother
was assailed.
Hans Burbank said that she was queen of the demons.
We have to bring up a clip just to piss John off with that. That I remember, dude. I know what show you're talking about. The one.
It's so crazy. Yeah, it's the one that was.
This is the house where all the guns went off.
But that's when it would do that, and then it would cut to the two fucking jamokes driving their Roto-Rooters truck, just being just being
I
like
think that was a different
talking
show,
to
though.
each other on their radios, being like, "So where are we going?" And they're like, so the lady moved in the house 2 years ago, plumbing shot, but yeah, she said that she heard some banging around.
Snake it out.
All right, sounds good. And then they just tried to up the creepy factor.
The best part of that show though was seeing each show who got the short end of the stick, like who had to spend the night alone, like in the one room that was notoriously haunted, or if like somebody had to go in an area all by themselves. Like you're like, oh yeah, these people probably fought last week, and now this guy holds the authority to put him in like this shittiest situation.
Tommy wouldn't hand me the bolts to fix the washing machine at the Johnson household, so I'm gonna stick him in the basement where the little girl was murdered.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I'm gonna flicker the lights a whole bunch. Piece of shit.
What if it's just an elaborate
Blast
prank?
him with some cold air.
We're from Taps.
My favorite ghost hunter episode. Not to get too much on a tangent, but my favorite ghost hunter episode, was, and I can assure you I don't watch anymore. But
because it's off the air.
Can I take can I take a guess?
What?
Was it Ghost Adventures when they went to Letchworth Village?
No.
He's talking about the Roto-Rooters.
No, the Roto-Rooter guys.
Oh, the Roto-Rooter
There
guys.
was one where this guy, he came to them with the normal complaints of paranormal activity. All the sightings. Getting like headaches and everything. And so they're going through the house, and they're like, all right, like where do you spend a lot of time? And he's like, in my basement. Like I have a workshop down there. And they go down there, and the first thing they see are all these open containers of paint. Like chemicals, like actual like chemicals,
like
and
paint thinner, right?
And there's no ventilation.
Oh, so that's what it is. So it's like
It's
it's like, oh, you guys are just high as shit. You hallucinated all this.
He's huffing
huffing
fumes
paint
the entire time.
Yeah, the guy's up there, his
And
eyes are
I
red as hell. He's
think-
like, nah, man, there's totally ghosts.
I think they went along like with the whole. I think they ended up doing it anyway because they probably invested a lot of.
We spent
production into the episode.
$20,000 to get here.
Yeah.
All right, Chip, maybe. They're
But
not
I think at the
crazy.
end, like their recommendations, they were like, "Oh yeah, like we don't think it's haunted. Also, please fix the whole situation going on in the garage. Put in a ventilation unit. Cover up all your chemicals.
I was gonna
And
say,
protect yourself against ghosts."
tinfoil hat is it's like, oh man, like they're like the production crew didn't clear out the paint, so now these like they blew the lid off our whole conspiracy theory or a whole conspiracy to get these people to hallucinate ghosts and actually believe their house is haunted. They just plant paint in people's houses to fuck them up.
Yeah, right.
Like
yeah.
I don't know where that paint came from. None of our rooms are painted that color, and they're like, oh shit.
Is that a Roto-Rooter label on one of the paint cans? No.
All right, we gotta execute
I think
this
the
one.
ghost knows
Terminate.
who we are.
Now we're making real ghosts.
What?
Yeah.
What's that? Igor
Hi,
Dyatlov
we're-
was found with a Roto-Rooter patch on his arm? What?
Yeah, that was his. He wasn't professional yet in terms of rock climbers.
This-
That was his day job.
That's Tim's way of trying to tell us we need to come back to the topic. So what? So
So there are a couple like
and we're back.
Yeah.
What's up, guys? So there are a couple like reasonable explanations. So they kind of deduce like there's no hard evidence to support this considering it happened 60 years ago, but kind of what the most plausible theory that they came up with was that it was just an avalanche. An avalanche just fucked them up.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's what I'm.
That
Which
thinking.
is-
that
which
gives
could
them
explain-
radiation.
No, the radiation is inexplicable.
Yeah.
And my tinfoil
How?
hat on that one is Igor Dyatlov actually survived to go on and change his name to Anatoly Dyatlov to run.
And he was a little boy from Chernobyl.
Chernobyl, bruv.
Hello, this is Dyatlov Pass, bruv.
They're never gonna know.
Record your command.
Nine people dead. Not great. Not bad.
Well, he was some sort of an engineer as well. Igor Dyatlov, from what I read. So
Yeah. Another thing they kind of say caused the deaths were katabatic winds. I think is how you pronounce it.
I like that word.
That's like yeah,
Katabatic.
that's
So-
pleasing to say.
Katabatic.
Yeah.
Katabatic winds.
Katabatic sounds like a really good rapper, like a SoundCloud rapper. Yo, what up? I'm DJ Katabatic.
You don't even have to say DJ. You could just say
Shut up.
Katabatic.
DJ makes things sound worse, as demonstrated by
DJ
Martin.
Khaled.
Yeah, Khaled.
My
would be
fa-
fine,
my
as it
favorite-
is.
My favorite DJ Khaled lyrics are when he yells DJ Khaled.
It's his only lyrics.
A true genius.
So they're pretty rare and can be extremely violent, which is what people think forced the hikers out of their tents because they figured the best way to protect themselves was to get in the tree line because the tent wasn't going to do anything. If anything, it would just get knocked down by the
It
wind.
would blow away.
So they figured getting to
100%.
the trees, getting in the trees and having them break up the wind would be the best means of action. So they probably died of. They're saying they died of hypothermia while out there.
And that would explain also why they weren't fully dressed, because they just were trying to get the fuck out of Dodge as soon as possible and get anywhere. But it was really fucking cold.
And in a hypothesis that was made by Donnie Eicher in his 2013 book Dead Mountain, he said that the wind that was going around the mountain created a Kármán vortex street, which can produce an infrasound capable of inducing panic attacks in humans.
Oh, wow. Shit.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
I mean, you have like a crazy panic attack. Like, there's a very high possibility that either, right, it does damage to your brain, or you start clawing out your fucking eyes and your tongue.
Yeah, and Eicher kind of...
And inject a shit ton of adrenaline into that. Because you're just in fight or flight mode, but there's no... Where are you flying to? You're on the top of a fucking mountain.
Think of it, too, man. You get, like, a panic attack. You run out of the thing with no clothes on, no shoes. You end up a mile away.
Yeah.
And it's the middle of the night. You're not going to find your way back, so they did the smart thing, and then two of them built a fire.
Yeah, and that's what he's saying, is that the panic attack drove them to get out of the tent, run down the slope, and the farther they were down the hill, that means the less impact the infrasound would have on them. So they would kind of come out of the panic attack, and which is why some of them kind of tried to get back to the tent where they had their shoes and had all their clothes. Yeah.
Yeah, they came too.
I did not expect such a common sense explanation
and
for
that
this to rise.
And that only lends itself to the point that I wanted to make, which is people are fucking nuts to try and come up with conspiracy theories in most situations, but they're just like the fact that anybody was taking these few breadcrumbs to be like, that doesn't add up. It's like fuck you know, man. It's like more of it adds up than it doesn't. It's like, yeah, it was a fucking avalanche. Maybe there might be other like sort of outlier things, like, and I think if Tim's gonna get into it, I don't want to
spoil it.
Yeah, I don't want to step on his area, but you can kind of just write those off because the bigger like signs are so much more. They point to what I believe it is, at least. So.
I mean, listen.
Is that what you believe it is, or do you have your own?
No, I think avalanche is as explicable as anything else. You know what I mean? So.
Right. Well, that's what what's the pronunciation of it? Occam or Occam's razor. It's like the thought process that often the simplest explanation to something is what actually happened.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No,
I mean,
and that's what like conspiracy theory is. It's really the antithesis to that, where it's like it's a incredibly complicated, overtly thought out explanation to something. But I think what it is sometimes the simple answer doesn't necessarily have an enemy or a bad guy. You know what I mean? Like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna get mad at Mother Nature. You should get more mad at like Dyatlov for pulling all these people into a mountain, but they all went willingly, so it's all on them. And so how do you displace wanting to blame something if you're just blaming the dead people?
And like you said, the simplest answer is normally the most logical one. When I like the people who believe in the Russian Yeti theory, they're like, a Yeti must have done the damage this bad to break someone's chest. Donnie Eicher just said, no, they just fell into a ravine.
Well, no, I mean, but
it was dark out
at 1,000,000 miles an hour, fucking
dark.
rammed into them.
In some people's defense, though, how frequently was something like the katabatic winds discovered? You know what I mean? Like, was that?
I mean, I guess once. If it was frequently
discovered. Okay, I get it. Yeah.
I was just reading up about it. It killed 7 hikers in Sweden when a similar phenomenon in the same circumstances, like wherever the mountain range was in Sweden that these 7 hikers were, trekking through. This was like a report that was recently done, and this is like really just hilarious that all of a sudden it's like 2018 and people are just finally getting around to doing all this, but they actually have the technology to maybe retrace some of the steps. But these like scientists in Sweden said that like under the similar circumstances in 1972, these katabatic winds caused the death of these like 7 hikers, though they were incredibly experienced.
The interesting thing would be to see exactly what the damage was, like the damage done to them was.
Yeah, it would probably be similar yet different depending on the person.
Right.
So.
Unexplained head trauma or brain trauma.
The one that is interesting though is the
large
guy
fractures.
whose brain was all messed up. Yet it didn't look like it, unless he kind of just experienced a crazy form of CTE from like tumbling around in the snow and stuff.
That and if it was an avalanche, he was probably under a tremendous amount of weight of snow.
That's true.
And plus, it was fucking very cold. I'm
Yeah.
sure the brain doesn't fare well in Siberian, especially if it's like dead.
No,
Yeah, I mean,
absolutely
if you're buried or even like I feel like something like even like suffocation to an extent if he fell into something or
that, and even dehydration causes your brain to expand.
yeah, for sure. Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of theories, some plausible, some pretty fucking out there, but that pretty much sums up Dyatlov's Pass.
That was a good one. I like these little like these historical conspiracies.
They're fun.
I guess it's fun.
I think somebody made a video game on this.
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I remember seeing a game that was like 9 people went away.
Was it like Russian Oregon Trail? Like
that would be great.
You
honestly.
survived the hypothermia with only losing one leg. Congratulations.
Little Jimmy lost his eyes and tongue. Bury him here.
You now have no son. Congratulations. One less mouth to feed.
Time to cross the Colorado River.
Game over. Your tent has been ripped from the inside.
Honestly, there's so many. When you go out to the western part of the country, there's so many areas where you like Colorado River, but it's not in Colorado. Or like when we were in Colorado, it was called the Louisiana River or something like that. It was like a weird name. So they like to just name shit so randomly all over. So I wouldn't be surprised
Stupid settlers.
if there's a Colorado River
Dumb bitch.
in Russia.
Damn, how fucking dummy stupid you gotta be to want to
Did you
settle
find the
in
video game?
Oklahoma. It says in popular culture that there's only a couple movies made out. I haven't seen anything. Oh wait, no! In 2015, Polish horror video game Kolot is inspired by the Dead Mountain incident, in which the player goes to Dyatlov Pass in order to trace the steps of the lost expedition and begins to uncover the true case of the
I'm
hiker's
curious
death.
to see what their turn. Imagine they ended up going with the catabatic wounds was like the enemy of the game.
Sean Bean narrates the game.
Whoa!
What? I think he dies.
Well, there's big money on this game.
We might have to.
do a live stream playthrough.
Yeah, we might have to do a follow-up episode or like an update in a future episode. I feel like we have to play this game.
Yeah, we'll do it. No, but we'll do what Tim said. We'll do a live stream, or we'll do a stream of us
of the game.
us playing the game.
I'm very down for that, and hopefully you, the viewer, or hopefully you, the audience, is looking forward to it too, because that kind of wraps up today's episode.
You can stick with viewer, Tim. They view with their ears.
That's true.
See with your ears.
Good topic, Tim. Thank you.
Hey, thank you.
Very good.
I appreciate that.
I'm excited to face the Catabatic Winds as the last boss battle in the game.
Dude, I'm ready to fucking take on that Russian Yeti.
Yeah, Matt, you make this your initiative. Get the game and
there we go. Yep,
go for it.
It's on Steam.
I'm gonna say I'm hitting up Steam right after this.
Bingo.
Awesome.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us today. Have a happy and safe Halloween.
Yeah, don't let anybody put candy in your medical marijuana. Don't let that candy lace medical marijuana get you.
Yeah, and watch out for razor blades and apples.
And watch out for Catabatic Winds. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Rabbit Hole Podcast. We will see you guys next time.
Bye-bye.
Adios.